Welcome to Convince Me, presented by Bet365. We are kicking off the Power Hour, the only NFL pregame show with all the stuff you care about, none of the fluff you don't. I am Chad Millman. I am joined by my Action Network buddies, Sean Kerner, Chris Raybon, Simon Hunter. They are going to try to convince me all the bets I should make for the remaining wildcard games over the next 2 days. We also got Evan Abrams on our Action Network news desk. He's got the data, the stats, the trends, the trivia to bewilder us. Plus, don't forget, bottom half of the hour, we got our touchdown show, Red Hot Touchdown Show. Gilles Gallant, Brian Matthews, Charlie DiSturco, Nick Giffen previewing the best touchdown props on the board. Also coming off our wildly successful live watch party with the Action Network community at the Shepherd and the Knucklehead yesterday in Hoboken, New Jersey. We're running it back, folks. We're doing another one today. 4 o'clock game is when the doors open, plus Simon and I doing a live favorites podcast at 7:30. Check out the RSVP in the episode description. Don't forget, if you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. Also, you can get all of our picks for free in the award-winning Action Network app. And you can sync your Bet365 bets in the app as well. All right, first game on the board, fellas. We're talking about the Cowboys and the Packers. Very interesting game we got going on here because this line has kind of solidified at 7.5 for the moment. The total has moved from 48.5 up to 51. We got about 40% of the bets are on Green Bay, but the majority of the money is coming in on Green Bay. Started at 7.5. It's now at 7. Kerner, kick us off.
I'm going with an over here. I'm going with Brandon Cooks over 41.5 receiving yards. He's only averaged 41 receiving yards a game this year, which is a career low for him. But at home, he's much different. He's averaging 66 yards a game at home. He's cleared this number in 5 of 7 home games. Plus, Dallas has been involved in a handful of blowouts this year where by the fourth quarter, they're very run heavy or they're even pulling starters like Brandon Cooks. So I actually like the Packers to cover the spread today. I think they're going to keep it close. So Dallas is going to keep their foot on the gas all 4 quarters. Plus, Green Bay does a good job of generating pressure. They've generated pressure on the quarterback at the 6th highest rate in the league this year. Kenny Clark and Rashawn Gary are playing at a high level. I think they will get pressure on Dak. And when Dak is under pressure, Brandon Cooks actually leads the team in air yards, even more than CeeDee Lamb. And across the league, he's 4th in the league in yards per target when his quarterback is facing pressure. So I think he's going to have a big game here. I'm projecting him closer to 46.5 yards. Love his upside here. So I have this being about a 60% chance he clears 41.5 yards here.
All right, look, we were red hot yesterday, right? We had Tua under 21.5 completions. We had Dalton Schultz under 41 receiving yards. It got a little scary. So now today you're on Brandon Cooks over 41.5. It is an interesting bet because it seems like Dak to CeeDee Lamb is the combination that everyone keeps talking about. But if you're watching these games, it seems like Brandon Cooks is the guy who's on the other end of the longer passes, the bailout passes, for lack of a better term, for Dak Prescott. I like that one, Sean Kerner, 2023 Fantasy Pro champion. Simon Hunter, what do you got?
Chad, Sundays for the dogs. Like the dogs today, let's start off with Green Bay. I know this number's moved off 7.5. I don't care. Still 7. Such a key number. I really think they're giving us too big of a number here. And we talked all week. This is the killer of the teasers, right? Everyone's teasing this game. Everyone teased the Chiefs game. Everyone teased the Bills game. We know the books need one of these games to fall. Here's a gift. The Cowboys. We talk all the time. The Cowboys in the playoffs. We know Dak Prescott's record. He's 1-5 in his career ATS, which is one of the worst you can have in all of quarterbacks. The Cowboys since 1997, 3-12 against the spread. So it's a team we talk all the time. They're always going to be overvalued by the public. We saw that here, right? This number's probably bumped up a point or two just because of the teasers we talked about. So to me, Jordan Love, we know it, like what an incredible season he's had and everything like that, but it's really about him and LaFleur and their chemistry, where even if we're down 14 in this game, I always think we're going to have a chance to come back. And we know LaFleur, modern coach, he'll go for that too to get us the cover. So
yes.
I love taking this at the 7. I'm not scared off by the movement. I'm going to take Green Bay here at the +7.
Well, look, Raybon has been talking about Jordan Love on the Sunday Six-Pack with Stuckey and what an amazing second half of the year the guy had. And I think in a game like this, if you're talking about coaching matchups and you've got Mike McCarthy on one side, who you can guarantee is going to have some kind of blunder when it comes to play calling or managing the clock, and you got Matt LaFleur, who has taken a roster that is one of the youngest in the NFL and turned Jordan Love into something that's gotten better and better the more teams got film on him. Kind of love the Packers in this spot. I don't care either, Simon, about the line move. Raybon, what do you got?
So I like the Packers too, by the way, but I am going to go with the Packers under because it's got to be an under for me. Romeo Doubs under 16.5 longest reception. And there's a couple of reasons I like this. The first is Romeo Doubs on the year is playing about 85% of the snaps. However, Green Bay, receiving-wise, is actually fairly healthy heading into this game. Dontavian Wicks is back. You have even Watson might play. Bo Melton's playing really well. And Doubs was the one that kind of got banged up last week. So this is a spot where I think he could play a lot less. But then you look at his matchup. The Cowboys play the most man coverage in the league. We've been talking about this all year. Romeo Doubs averages a third of a yard per route against man coverage, 0.33. Against zone coverage, he's way over a yard per route. So he's been really bad. He's the one guy that has struggled more than the other receivers against man coverage. So I think it's going to be a tough matchup for him. I think he could play less. And I think there's just a good chance that the Packers are getting a little undervalued by the market. So if you have more positive game script, that also helps receiving under. So give me Doubs under 16.5. Receptions. Longest reception. He's been under that in 12 of 17 games this year, 71%.
All right, so this says more about me than it does about your pick. Yesterday, and by the way, nice job. You had Dameon Pierce yesterday, under 10.5 rushing attempts, which was easy. I'm watching this Texans game yesterday, and we see Dalton Schultz get one catch for 37 yards and a touchdown, and we're spending the rest of the game sweating, and we're watching Mecole Hardman, which you also had yesterday.
That was a sweat.
That
shouldn't have hit. I'm just going to say that right off the bat.
The Mecole Hardman under 14.5 receiving yards, and the guy, almost on the first play of the game, is fingertips away from breaking that, and then 3 or 4 other times they tried to go deep to him. Ended up an easy cash, but it shouldn't have been an easy cash.
Shouldn't have been.
The one play that Romeo Doubs can make, it's too frightening to me. And I also happen to know, how much you love the Packers in this spot. So I am choosing the Packers at +7 in this spot. It's too easy. Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur against Mike McCarthy and Dak Prescott, that's a matchup where it shouldn't be 7 points. So give me the Packers +7 in this spot. All right. Convince Me is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boosts. Check out the boosts and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 or older and present in Colorado, Iowa, New Jersey, Louisiana, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem, call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All right, guys. Next game up, we're talking about the Rams visiting the Lions. Another one. A lot of drama, a lot of narrative in this game, in the market right now. We got Matthew Stafford going back. We got Jared Goff feeling revenge against this team right now. The Rams opened as 4-point dogs. Simon, you and I talked about it on the favorites last Sunday. Immediately liked the Rams in this spot. It moved down to 3.5 while we were doing the show a week ago at this time. Now it's down to 3. We got the majority of the money. I'm sure Evan is going to talk about in his segment. The majority of the money coming in on the Los Angeles Rams, which means that is a very, very public dog that we are talking about with the Rams. Colonel, what do you got?
Well, I'm going to try to get you to buy in on another over here. This is my last one of the weekend. It's gross unders the rest of the way.
Okay,
So
good.
This is your last
Because then we're
chance.
back in our space.
This is your last chance for an over, but I'm going with Jahmyr Gibbs over 51.5 rushing yards. Now, he was one of their first-round picks. He's a key piece in this offense, but at the beginning of the season, since he's a smaller back, they did try to limit his workload a bit. I mean, David Montgomery was basically a workhorse back early in the season. Since their bye week, over the last 9 games, he's been way more involved, especially on early downs. So he's cleared this number in 6 of the last 9 games. He's actually cleared 80 yards in 2 of the last 4. They're using him a lot more. Now that it's playoff time, why hold back? I think he has a massive ceiling today. I love the matchup as well. You know, the Rams allow the 6th most yards before contact at 1.7 yards. On runs where Jahmyr Gibbs has seen at least 2 yards before contact, he's averaging 9.5 yards per attempt, 6th highest rate in the league. The Lions have an elite run-blocking offensive line. I think he's going to get plenty of space to run. He's going to break a couple of long runs here. So give me Jahmyr Gibbs over 51.5 rushing yards.
Yeah, I actually love that pick. He's sneaky powerful and physical. And you can see it when he plays, like he does run into guys. I also think his speed is much faster than what shows on film, and I think guys, when they first try to tackle him, don't realize how fast he is.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons why the Lions wanted to go get him. And you're right, like as the year has gone on, he has become much more of a weapon for this team. He could clear this in the first half with a couple of big runs.
That'd
which
be
is,
great.
Like the game script often sees him getting big runs in the first half and then scaling back a little bit in the second half to get Montgomery more involved. Simon.
Like I said, Sundays for the dogs, Chad. So going Rams +3. And I know people are freaked out, like Chad has talked about the number, all the money poured on the Rams. Of course it has. It was 3.5 from Sunday night to Thursday. So no one's shocked that all the money came in on the Rams. Why would you take Detroit -3.5 when if you just waited, you could have got the 3? So yeah, don't let the money skew you, like scare you off. I've talked to plenty of bookmakers. The money line is heavy, the Lions. The public, they're betting the Lions to win this game straight up. Most guys who came in, they bet the 3.5. They're taking the 3 on the Rams. That's the smart bet here. You're taking Stafford as a dog and against a team that cannot get stops. Detroit's defense struggles against the pass. Now we won the best passing offense in all of football, Chad. So it's just, we're just playing the numbers here. If this was 2.5, I could be talking and taking Detroit here, but if you're asking where the value is going to be Rams money line, the Rams +3. That's where the number and the value is. So looking at this game, this matchup, it does feel like whoever's the ball last will win this game. And I'm confident in Stafford covering this number. It's just time and time again this season, right? They started out really slow, right, with the Cooper Kupp injury. We talked the last couple of weeks. I mean, they're 6-2 ATS. Their one loss those last 7 weeks, the Ravens in overtime. Like the best team in football, apparently. They took them to overtime in a game. We both agree the Rams probably should have won that game.
Yes.
So you look at how the Rams have played this last 7 weeks. I don't think the bookmakers have caught up to it. I still think they're overvaluing this Detroit team. So happy to take the +3 here with the Rams, Chad.
Liberal use of the word value on Rams at +3, but I like your spirit. Raybon.
Let's go Jared Goff, under 1.5 rushing yards. You got to get disgusting here. And listen, let's start off by just saying he's been under this in 12 of 17 games this year, 71%. Over 60% of his carries, Chad, this year, kneel downs. This dude most games, he doesn't even get a rush attempt. If he does, it's probably going to be a quarterback sneak. He scrambles on 1% of his dropbacks this year. And the Rams defense, that's still their weak link. Like if you're back in the Rams, the thing you're worried about is their defense. You know, they're not going to get a lot of pressure, and they have coverage busts. So that means Goff is unlikely to scramble in this game. He's probably going to have time, and he's probably going to have a receiver open. So I think this is you're a good bet not to get a scramble. Even if you get no kneel downs, but just like one rush attempt, it's likely to be a quarterback sneak, and that's usually going to be a yard at most. Could even be 0 or negative, less likely to be 2. So I think there's a really good chance he goes under this. I would even bet this under at 0.5 yard. Again, he's only had positive yardage in 5 of his 17 games this season.
Raybon, in years of doing this show, I feel like that is the most classic Raybon pick ever. It combines doing something that is incredibly gross and incredibly scary with all of the math to back up why that is the pick you should make. I want to choose Jared Goff under 1.5 just because of the nerve that you would offer that up as a pick. I also love Jahmyr Gibbs But you know what? Let's do Jared Goff under 1.5.
Yeah.
Why not?
I know you're thinking about the Rams. I know you're thinking.
I'm
about
not
the
thinking
Rams.
about the Rams because
No?
I wanted a 3.5, and I
Okay.
feel like a 3 to
Coward,
me,
coward.
to me, like that's sort of like I want to give people something like where I do think there's a little bit of value, and also when we're at the event today, it's going to be really fun every time Jared Goff drops back to try to hope that he does not take off, and when he does. If I can see you across the bar, I'll give you eye contact. And that might be as joyous as anything else. All right, let's get to our good friend Evan Abrams on the Action Network news desk. He's got all the stats to enlighten us, some trivia to bewilder us. You're going to make us smarter. What can you tell us, Evan?
On everyone's minds, it seems, because last night they had 74% of tickets, currently down to 67%. So the one thing I can say is there's a little bit more Lions money in the market than there was last night, but the Rams are the biggest public side of any of the 6 wildcard games at the moment. And it's also worth noting the totals. So 250s today, 250 pluses in domes. So that's the first time I've seen that in playoff history, where you've had 250 totals and domes on the same day. And 87% of the tickets on the over in Green Bay, 80% of the tickets on the over in the Rams. So everyone just expecting overs today as well. So can't go wrong there. All right, trivia time for the whole group. So the Cowboys have started 4 quarterbacks in the playoffs in the last 30 years. Dak Prescott, Tony Romo, Troy Aikman, and this 4th person. All I'm asking you is to name the other quarterback that started a playoff game in Dallas. The chat also, get involved. I'll hit it at the end. I got 2 more things. Number 1. Matthew Stafford really needs to turn the clock back a tad. So during his Super Bowl run, he went 3-0 straight up as an underdog that year. Since then, he's 1-9 straight up. In his career, he's 29-74 straight up as an underdog, 28%. Hasn't been good. And aside from that season, it's been even worse. So we'll see if Stafford can do that today in Detroit. And finally, the Eagles. Tomorrow's game, but they've lost 6 consecutive games against the spread. Entering the playoffs, they're the first team to do that since the 2002 San Francisco 49ers. They ended up winning their wild card game, but losing against the spread in both the wild card and the divisional, losing 10 straight to end the year. So we'll see how Philly ends in Tampa tomorrow. And finally, guys, the trivia. What do we got? Anybody have a guess?
Raybon.
Brandon Whedon.
He says, Raybon says Brandon Whedon.
Not correct.
Simon.
Anybody?
Bledsoe.
Nope.
Ooh, that would have been a good
guess,
guess.
though.
I totally would have gone with that.
It's definitely not this, but Cooper Rush.
Quincy Carter.
Good guess.
I was
Good
gonna-
guess.
Drew Henson.
I was going to say Chad Hutchinson.
It's a great guess. That's probably the closest. The answer is Quincy Carter.
I said-
That's
2003.
what Kerner
No,
just
no,
said.
no,
That was
no.
me.
Raybon
That was
said
my
Quincy
second
Carter,
guess. That was my
which,
second
by the way,
guess.
I would have said Quincy Carter, but he was so impatient, he had to come in over the top, so I didn't get to say Quincy Carter. I just wanted on the record that in my head, I was a Quincy Carter.
Half point for Chad, half point for Raybon. Thanks,
There
guys.
you go.
All right, let's talk about the Steelers and the Bills, the game that has been moved, a crazy, crazy weather apocalypse game. We still don't know exactly what the weather's going to be, but this total's been all over the board. It opened at 43, got down to 33 when everyone thought the weather was going to be terrible. Then it came off the board, went back up, opened around 35. Now it's back up into the 38 range. The money is all over the place on this game. The spread has been hovering around 10, 9, 9.5, 10. Great game to think about as a handicapper. Kerner, give us some more to think about.
Well, I warned you, my fun props are done with.
Yes,
We're going
we're
back
done.
to the disgusting unders. Dawson Knox, under 14.5 receiving yards. In weeks 1 through 7, when he was the lead tight end and they were a pass-heavy offense, he only cleared this in 3 of 7 games. And then he injured his wrist. He missed 5 games. He lost his job to first-round pick Dalton Kincaid. The offense is way more run-heavy now under Joe Brady. And somehow he did manage to clear this in 3 of the last 5 games, but he got kind of lucky. He's caught 7 of his 8 targets, so an 88% catch rate. Typically, you'd expect him to catch around 75 or 70% of his targets, so he's due for some regression there. And 2 of those games, he didn't draw a single target. So in this game against the Steelers, I know that they did move the game, so we might not see as inclement weather, but it's still going to be cold, still going to be windy. We're going to see, 15-plus mile-an-hour winds. I don't see them throwing the ball to Dawson Knox here. If anything, they're going to run it, build a lead that way. So I'm projecting Dawson Knox closer to 10.5 yards. So, 4 yards of value is massive here. So I actually have it around a 63% chance he stays under 14.5.
Yeah, look, we cashed with Dalton Schultz yesterday. Dalton and then Kincaid has just been getting better and better and better. It also feels like there's more energy when he's on the field. Yeah. Everyone seems to be rallying a little bit more. Like as a receiver, there just seems to be something different about him, taking a lot of time and a lot of attention away from Dawson Knox. All right, Simon.
Yeah, Chad, this was tough. Wanted to do a side and a total, but I feel a little guilty because shout out to all our bookmakers. Let us keep our bets. I have the over at like 33.5, 34. So what am I going to do? Give out the over at 39? No, I'm not that
you can't do that.
Can't do it. So even though the numbers moved, Mason Rudolph, his under total prop, passing yard total prop, I still like it. The book, I have it at right now at 169. I still think it's too high where even if the winds have died down a little bit, they're supposed to have 50 per mile, like consistent winds with 30 per mile gust. That's a big deal, especially for a guy making his first start at quarterback in the playoffs. I mean, I can't talk about that enough. We saw it last night with Tua. It's a big deal. Like, you're already uncomfortable because it's just different. Now you're factoring the weather for guys that aren't used to it. It's a big deal. So when I'm taking these kind of props, like I'm looking at a guy like him and Josh Allen, I honestly did want to take Josh Allen, but they keep taking it up and down. I'm happy to take Mason's. The fact that it's still above 150 to me, there's really good value here where Pittsburgh wants to run the ball, especially if this is going to be a close game. Now you're factoring the weather with a first-time starter in the playoffs. I had to take this yardage under. So 169, under passing yards. I love this number, Chad.
That is a good one. I like that one, too. All right, Raybon.
Chad, we're going Jaylen Warren, under 8.5 carries. And this is really about a couple of things. Number one, I get that everyone wants to bet the overs on these Pittsburgh running backs because we expect a run-heavy game to try to stay close. It's bad weather, but especially now that the game has been moved, the weather's not going to be as bad, I think. And when you see Najee Harris and what he's been able to do over the last 3 games with the 4 touchdowns, just really going off, especially the last 2, they've reinserted him in that early down back kind of featured role. And Warren is back to playing even more pass snaps than he ever has before, but he's back to kind of that true backup as a running back. And you look at Buffalo and what they've done since Dorsey got canned and replaced by Brady, they've been over 50% run team themselves. But what that's doing, their opponent time of possession is down to 26 minutes per game. Pittsburgh, they are averaging, 32 over this little second half of the season when, all these guys are getting a lot of carries. And even Najee, I think, his number could be a little too high. So I don't think people are factoring that in enough, that Buffalo is just slowing these games down, limiting the possessions. Opponents averaging only 56 plays. And even if Mason Rudolph struggles and they want to run the ball, you have to stay on the field to get a lot of rushing attempts. You can't just go 3-yard run, Mason Rudolph incompletion. You're not going to get to Jaylen Warren 9, 10, 11 carries as the number 2 back that way. We've seen less than 1 in 5 number 2 backs are able to hit even 9 carries in a game. It's just really tough to do. So Jaylen Warren under 8.5 carries.
Love it, love it, love it.
I was waiting for it.
Love them all. Love them all. Gonna bet them all. I think this is a really tricky one because there's so many things like competing interests I'm now going to be rooting for in this game. I'm going with Jaylen Warren under 8.5 total rushing attempts. Also, I just feel like since Matt Canada was fired, this offense has seemed to recommit to running between the tackles, and that plays to Najee Harris' strength. And Jaylen Warren was consistently getting more carries when they were trying to run outside the tackles, which didn't play to Najee Harris' strength. So give me Jaylen Warren under 8.5 rushing yards. All right, last game on the board. We're talking about the Eagles at the Buccaneers, which has surprisingly been getting so little attention because no one really knows what the hell to do with this game, fellas. The total has moved from 45 down to 43. The Bucs were 2.5-point underdogs early in the week. Then there was conversation and news about is Baker Mayfield going to play? Is he not going to play? How banged up is he? It moved to 3. It kind of stabilized at Eagles -3. There's chaos in the Eagles locker room. There's injuries on the Eagles team. So, Kerner, What do we do with a game that, as a bettor, I kind of want to avoid?
Yeah, no, this is a tough game to project, and I didn't really know what I was going to take until this morning. I was looking at rush attempt props, and I saw DeAndre Swift is at 15.5. I thought that was a bit high, so I'm going with Swift under 15.5 rush attempts. He's cleared this in 7 of 15 full games he's played in, but he's only cleared this once when the Eagles have lost the game, and I do like the Buccaneers +3 here. I think they could pull off the upset with A.J. Brown out. And now I'm trying to figure out how they're going to handle A.J. Brown being out. They could be a little bit more run heavy, which would hurt this, but they could also use Kenny Gainwell a bit more, who's their pass catching back, have another offensive weapon in the passing game. It also, with A.J. Brown out, more likely it's a trailing game script. So it kind of evens itself out. The other thing with Swift when it comes to this market is the brotherly shove. Whenever it's a 3rd and short, 4th and short, or goal line play, Jalen Hurts is getting the carry. Those are the ways you really rack up rush attempts. Those cheap short yardage carries. So Swift doesn't get those, so it kind of limits his upside in this market. He has to get them on 1st and long, 2nd and long. So he might. I don't like his rushing yardage prop, but I'm seeing a ton of value on his attempt prop because I'm projecting this closer to 14.5. And every rush attempt in these markets is massive. So I'm showing about a 62% chance he stays under 15.5.
Swift is such an interesting running back to watch. Simon, I know you watch so many Eagles games. It feels like every time he gets the ball, he's about to break it for about 50 yards, and then he's tackled after 4 yards. And it's like he has the most exciting, shifty 40-yard runs in the NFL. Simon, what do you got?
Chad, what if I could tell you could fade a team in the Bucks that should have lost last week to the Panthers and not even be in the playoffs? But here they are. And I think it's just basically the stank on the Eagles. No one wants to bet them. So I can't believe I'm doing it, but Eagles -3, Eagles -2.5. I'm taking the number, and it really is just a fade on this Bucks team. I think it's a great story they've made it this far. We know their weaknesses. We know Baker's not that great ATS. We know all the numbers behind it. Todd Bowles is the head coach. We know his struggles as a head coach. Just factor in night games, his career, he's 2-7 straight up. So, just looking at this number, it's gross to do. I understand people don't want to bet this, but I am taking the Eagles team here. Right? It feels like the Bucks value is too high at this point. I need to buy back on this Eagles team.
All right, Raybon.
Simon, what would it convince me be without me and you going head-to-head on a side? It's only right with the year coming to an end. So I'm going Tampa Bay +3. And to be honest, I didn't think we would get here. But when you look at these teams, first of all, weighted DVOA, which rates, all it does is weight the more recent games a little bit more heavily. Tampa Bay is the better team, 15th versus 21 for Philadelphia. Now, these two teams really aren't that different in my ratings at all. And now you factor in the Bucs are at home. Now you factor in that the Bucs are healthy. Baker Mayfield's playing. Jalen Hurts is also banged up. But A.J. Brown's out. That's the big injury, I think. Then that's the one that you actually have to adjust the number for. So to me, I just can't get anywhere near this number of +3 for Tampa Bay. It should be closer to a pick'em. Then you're looking at the scheme. Jalen Hurts has been struggling against what? The blitz. What does Tampa Bay do at a top 3 rate with Todd Bowles? They blitz. And they blitz in zone blitz looks. They're not just playing man where it's, Hurts can run, it's easy, defenders are turning their back. You're talking about zone pressures, you don't know exactly where it's coming from. That's what they've had so much trouble picking up, especially on this losing streak. And then I look at Philadelphia started 10-1, but even then we were saying this team is getting lucky. This team was at the top of our great luck rankings for most of the year, top 3. So Philadelphia +5 point differential, 11 wins. What? This is supposed to be a 500 team. Tampa Bay, on the other hand, they're underperforming slightly their Pythagorean wins. And teams that have done that in the wild card or divisional round, Chad, 33-13, 72% against the spread over the last 2 decades. Give me Tampa Bay +3.
This is what's so hard about my job, and let's think about some empathy for me right now, is as soon as Simon was done talking, I was all over the Eagles. I'm thinking the Eagles know this feels like a must-win game for their franchise. This feels like a must-win game for Nick Sirianni. It feels like a must-win game for the confidence of that locker room. And that's the emotional part of me. And then Raybon starts talking, and he gives me all the unemotional elements of this game, and it makes me go back to the beginning where I can't make a decision. So I'm going with Kerner because it's just the easiest thing to do. I'll take the under 15.5 and DeAndre Swift because I haven't had a take on this game all week, to be honest. Like, I'm not going to bet the side. I hate it. I think it's lined right. I think there's no advantage for anybody here. So just give me DeAndre Swift.
This is like betting on the Buccaneers without actually having to bet on the Buccaneers.
Yeah, that's true. I appreciate you. Thanks, buddy. All right. Let's talk about who's sponsoring our show. It's Bet365. Convince Me presents Bet365. And Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays, and they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for the biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 21 and older and present in Colorado, Iowa, New Jersey, Louisiana, Ohio, Virginia, or 18 and older in Kentucky. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms, conditions, restrictions apply. All right, here we go. Don't forget, we got one more live event. Today, Favorites a live event, Favorites live podcast, 7:30, doors open at 4 o'clock. We're going to watch the games together. This crew is going to be there. Shepherd and the Knucklehead in Hoboken, New Jersey. RSVP in the episode description for this show. Don't forget to download the app. All of our picks available for free in the award-winning Action Network app. If you're watching us on YouTube, like our page. If you've heard about us, subscribe to the Action Network YouTube page. Stay tuned for the Touchdown Show. Good luck, everybody.
Hello and welcome to another Super Wildcard Weekend edition of the Touchdown Show on the Action Network. I'm Gilles Gallant. I've got Nick Giffen, Charlie DeSturco, B-Matt is here. We're all in studio in New York, and the show is presented by Bet365. So we've got another doubleheader of NFL playoff games for Sunday. We've got Packers, Cowboys, and Rams, Lions. Now, Mother Nature didn't do us any favors. They have moved that Steelers-Bills game to Monday, maybe even gets moved to Tuesday, but we're going to look at that game as well. So for Monday, we've got Steelers, Bills, tentatively, but also Eagles and Buccaneers. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to go through each game. We're going to give out our best bet for an anytime touchdown. We're going to look at the anytime touchdown odds, comb the markets, see what picks we like. And then also we're going to have another boosted parlay from Bet365. We hit that yesterday with the same game parlay with Kansas City and Miami of Isaiah Pacheco and Tyreek Hill. So let's see if we can get another one this weekend. And now the Touchdown Show is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. And they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only or 18 plus in Kentucky and present in Colorado, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Colorado, Kentucky, Louisiana, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. All right, gentlemen, let's now look at Packers-Cowboys. Cowboys, 7.5-point favorites with a total of 50.5. Now, the Packers-Cowboys touchdown odds right at the top. You're going to see Tony Pollard right at the top at -163, followed by CD Lamb at -150. Cowboys are the two first options for anytime touchdown score odds with the shortest odds. And then you have Aaron Jones coming in at +120. Jaden Reed, super rookie there at +175. Brandon Cooks and Jake Ferguson, both with the Cowboys, each at +187. Then you have Christian Watson at +200. And rounding out that top 8 is Romeo Doubs at +250. Charlie,
Yes.
why don't you get us started? What do you like for your best bet for Rams? Or pardon me, Lions, or you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, Cowboys, yeah.
Just tell me who you like.
One of those.
Just tell me who you
one of
like.
those games of the teams, yeah. So listen, Jaden Reed, long are the days that he is in those 3-1 ranges that we used to get. So I like a guy that I'm seeing his number slowly creep up to the 2-1 number. I'm going to even, barter with it a little bit, wait until I see maybe 210, 220. But right now, plus 200, Jake Ferguson for an anytime touchdown. It feels like we've taken him on this show so many times. And of late, he's kind of screwed us. No touchdowns in the last 5, but if you look at the 6 prior, he had 4 touchdowns. And this is a great matchup for him. Green Bay is 26th in DVOA to the tight end position. They've given up 5 touchdowns to the tight end over the last 8 games. I know that was partially the reason why we discussed Cole Kmet in Week 18. Well, Green Bay, they struggle defending the tight end, especially near the red zone. And all the attention is going to be on CeeDee Lamb. So the double coverage is going to put Ferguson in plenty of one-on-one opportunities, and he's really surprised this year as far as success goes, just over the middle of the field, deep shots, whatever it is. So, listen, guy gets a ton of red zone targets inside the 10-yard line. He's number 1 among all tight ends. So let's go a little Fergie plus 200, a little GLAMOROUS. We're going first class. Fergie
I
plus
have good news for
200.
you.
Are you even old enough to know that song?
See, Charlie was smart. He waited this out because when I looked yesterday, it was around plus 180, plus 185. Now that he's hit 2-1, we're showing projection value on it as well. You cannot go against Sean Kerner projections, the most accurate man on the planet.
And it's interesting too, like gone are the days where at the beginning of the year we were seeing him around plus 350 now. Like now he's actually emerged and become more of that Dalton Schultz role in that, and even Dalton Schultz near the end of the year, you would probably only be able to get him around like plus 185, plus 200, right? So Ferg in this matchup, especially in this passing offense playing at home, solid look by you, Charlie. And again, I think as well with the way that we're seeing the odds, you might even see those odds even increase as we get closer to kickoff too. So, but yeah, at plus 200, I think this is a solid look here. Now, from our standpoint, though, we're going to do a 3-way collab on Brandon Cooks with the Dallas Cowboys. B-Matt, why don't you get us started? What do you like about Brandon Cooks and why you like him to score today against that Packers defense?
Well, look, too many cooks in the kitchen. It's not going to be a problem today, all right? I love Brandon Cooks here. Love the 3-way collab. He has a touchdown in his last 3 games. And if you go back and look back, he started the year, and after his first 4 games without scoring a touchdown, he now has a touchdown in 8 of 12 games played. CeeDee Lamb is a target monster. He is going to get plenty of volume. We know that. Even if the double team isn't there, if Jair Alexander doesn't play. Here's the thing. This offense has shown that it is fully capable of supporting 2 wide receivers that will have production. Brandon Cooks, I just think these odds are fantastic for a guy that's shown a knack for finding the end zone, even on games where he's got 2 or 3 catches. So love the 3-way collab here. What do you guys think?
Well, I think too, B-Matt, the home cooking for Brandon Cooks, I think is important as well because he has scored in 5 of 7 home games this year, catches of 20 yards or more in all of but 1 home game. So that long A-dot type of pass, because also the Packers, they rank 28th in DVOA versus the deep pass, and they're also 26th in DVOA versus the pass as well. So I think Brandon Cooks is where I'd be looking for a touchdown score in this game. Nick, why don't you round us out? What do you like for, what are the fair odds, for example? For Brandon Cooks?
I mean, you guys already made all the points. I don't need to add in more wind, from any of that, but we got to go to the projections. Our projections are showing Brandon Cooks just over 2-1 as fair value, around plus 205, so plus 230.
Right.
That is a lot of expected value that we're getting there on Brandon Cooks.
Love that.
All right, so us 3, we're on Brandon Cooks. You're going to be on Ferg. So pretty much we're all in on the Cowboys offense
Love
here.
Fergie, though.
I'm going to probably do a little bit of a long shot maybe on Jordan Love for an anytime touchdown around plus 750. But again, just like maybe like a quarter unit, half unit kind of thing. But now let's move to Rams and Lions, where the Lions, home favorites, first playoff game in feels like forever. 3-point home favorites with a total of 51.5. Now let's look at the touchdown scorer odds from that game. Right at the top, you're going to have Rams running back Kyren Williams at minus 175, followed by the running back duo with the Lions of Jahmyr Gibbs at minus 120 and David Montgomery at minus 120. Then you've got superstar receiver Cooper Kupp at plus 120, along with another rookie Puka Nacua at plus 120. And then you have Amon-Ra St. Brown, the Sun God, at plus 125. And now we get to Sam Laporta at plus 125, where I guess he is going to gut it out and play. Rounded out at the top 8 of it is Josh Reynolds at plus 250. And on that list, guys, the guy that I immediately gravitate to is Puka Nacua. And so I'm going to bet him at plus 135. I'm still seeing around plus 125. I wouldn't bet it any lower than that. But so for Puka, I mean, he's got 6 touchdowns this year, but just crazy volume in pretty much every game. 4 of 6 touchdowns this year with Kupp in the lineup. And also, he has at least 1 red zone target in 7 of the last 8 games, 19 red zone targets on the year. Now, this Lions defense, they've given up the 3rd most touchdowns to wide receivers this year with 22. They also play man coverage at a top 10 rate in the NFL, and they are 24th in DVOA versus the deep pass, which just checks a lot of boxes for Puka and Cooper Kupp to a lesser extent as well. I think they're both going to have a big game today. And I would just say as well that Nacua, he leads the Rams in yards per route run against both zone defense and man defense. So I don't really think there's going to be much of an issue for him for getting targets. It's just more about him getting into the end zone today. So Puka Nacua is who I'm going to bet in this game. B-Matt, I imagine you're going to be looking at Cooper Kupp.
Yeah, hey, I'm going to over-reliable here. All right, like Cooper Kupp is on some of my most memorable anytime touchdown tickets. And if you're going to give me Cooper Kupp at plus 135 against this Lions defense, then I'm going to take that all day. So, look, I'm going Cooper Kupp plus 135. Guy has a touchdown in 4 of his last 5 games. And if you go back to the game where he didn't score, he had 2 targets. They weren't amazing passes, but as they say, if it touches your hands, you should catch it. Look, this is just a smash spot. I was figuring we'd see, odds, closer to plus 100, and I'm okay with that. So I'm going to go Cooper Kupp. I'm going straight chalk. So Cooper Kupp here at plus 135. Absolutely love this play today.
Okay, so I'm on Puka Nacua. You're on Cooper Kupp. Charlie, are you going to be joining him with Kupp as well?
Yeah, listen, I dare to be different in the Cowboys side of things, but on this one, me and B-Man are going to collab. I'm going to take Cooper Kupp at plus 135, and I'm also going to be Chalky Charlie, and I'm going to take Amon-Ra St. Brown as well at plus 125. I think these are both great matchups for wide receiver ones. Amon-Ra St. Brown, 77% touchdown rate over his last 9, 10 of 16 total this season, and he's had a lot of success of late. And Jared Goff looks for him inside of that 10-yard line. As far as just targets goes, he's tied for 4th when it comes to red zone targets inside the 10 with 12. So I think when it comes to this game, it's a high total, and obviously Nick is on the is looking toward the under in this one. But I think that there's going to be plenty of scoring. I think when it comes to a volume standpoint, Amon-Ra St. Brown and Cooper Kupp are 2 guys that when they get inside that 20 and closer to the 10 or 5, they're going to be looked at for pre-snap motion, whatever it is, short yardage situations. So I love taking a stab on both these guys. Listen, we hit with Hill earlier, wide receiver 1s with Hill, and I guess Rashee Rice is de facto wide receiver 1 for KC. Let's go with another pair of wide receiver 1s here.
Yeah, and I mean, St. Brown, we've had him on the show before. I mean, he's very reliable for us in this spot. Now, we have went super chalky here. Nick, please break the narrative here. Change the course of this. What do you like for a touchdown score in this game?
I love all you guys, but we're not going anything longer than plus 135 in this game. Come on. We're going DeMarcus Robinson plus 320.
Love this.
We got to go with a long shot here, and I'm putting a full unit on this one. Look, DeMarcus Robinson and Sean Kerner put this best. He was looking at his spreadsheet, and he goes, man, Puka Nacua's had some great stats. Oh, that's DeMarcus Robinson on my spreadsheet. That's what he has been doing in the last 5 games, not counting week 18, but from weeks 14 to 17, 5 straight games there. He had 34 targets in 5 games. That's nearly 7 per game, and he had 4 touchdowns in those games, in those 5 games. So when you have a guy that is appearing to have a snap rate, a target rate, a routes run rate that rivals Puka Nacua, but you're getting him at plus 320, that's pretty good. And, like I mentioned, Sean Kerner, the most accurate projection guy on the planet, has us at plus 230. So plus 320 is a long way from that. So we're getting some incredible value here on DeMarcus Robinson. Now, I do have one other bonus pick in this game, guys.
I want to hear it. Let's go.
My favorite player in the NFL is Sam Laporta.
Really?
But
oh boy.
But of course he had that knee injury. I do think if he plays though, why would they play him if they aren't going to throw him the ball? They'll probably use him in very limited situations. So I would look at him either for a first touchdown or a first half touchdown because 8 of his 10 touchdowns have come in the first half. So he's a guy that they look to early, and I think while his knee is still feeling good early in the game, get him the ball if you're going to play him. There's no point in playing him just to decoy because then you're potentially hurting him to not even use him. So I think if he plays first touchdown or first half touchdown for Sam Laporta, it could be very interesting.
And I like that angle better than if you were to take first half touchdown score for Laporta because it's around plus 350 to plus 400 at 16 to 1.
Yeah, 16 to 1 for first touchdown.
Much
really
better
nice.
value here in that spot. So Sam Laporta, a nice little bonus bet. Let's see if he's going to be effective today from that knee injury. So Charlie's going to be on Amon-Ra St. Brown and Cooper Kupp along with B-Matt, who's also on Kupp. I'm on Puka Nacua, and you are on Demarcus Robinson along with a Sam Laporta. Nice little first touchdown bet as well. All right, let's now talk about the Bet365 Anytime Touchdown Boosted Parlay. So today, I think we all talked about CeeDee Lamb today, but nobody was going to be committing to a minus 150, for an anytime touchdown. So instead, why don't we throw him on the boost, and then we're going to pair that with Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Son, God.
Yep. Now, so
There
that
we
was
go.
around plus 275 pre-boost. That is going to be boosted up to over plus 300, plus 303, I believe. So again, CeeDee Lamb, pretty much the last 8 games, like you can make a case that he might have been the offensive player of the year with the way that he's been playing, the volume and targets. I mean, some of that is correlated with how well Dak has been playing as well. But again, CeeDee Lamb is a matchup nightmare for any defense. And then Amon-Ra St. Brown is always going to get that volume. We're probably going to see 8 to 10 targets for him today. So I love this pairing. Do you guys have anything to add to this before we move on to the Sunday games?
We got to ask what the fair value is.
Yeah, well, fair value, because of the boost, we're getting it above fair value. We're projecting around plus 275, plus 280 in that neighborhood for fair value. So a little 20, 25 cents of value there. I like it.
Let's ride.
But that's okay, though. I feel like as long as we're getting over that valued projection there and then also being able to get 2 studs from both of these games, I think that's where the solid look is. All right, now let's move to the Sunday games. Now, Steelers-Bills right now, we're thinking it's going to be on, or Monday game rather, but that may get moved. Right now, let's just talk about it, though. Steelers-Bills. Bills are 10-point favorites with an over-under of 37. Weather going to be impacting this game. Now, let's talk about the touchdown odds, and right at the top, quarterback Josh Allen, minus 120 now to score touchdowns, and then followed by James Cook at plus 120. Then you've got Stephon Diggs at plus 140 and Najee Harris at plus 175. Dalton Kincaid at plus 240. Khalil Shakir at plus 260, and then Jalen Warren at plus 275, and Deontay Johnson, George Pickens are both around plus 400 as well. Charlie, are we going to go chalk again here? What are we looking at? Are we going Josh Allen or
Listen.
Jockey Charlie.
Listen. Chalky Charlie is back. Stephon Diggs, anytime touchdown, plus 155. If not now, when is this man going to get in the end zone? And I honestly have to be betting this out of just my integrity because the last few times I have, he has yet to score, and I keep doubling down on this man. So I need an anytime touchdown, Stephon, right now. Listen, there's no Gabe Davis, and I think that that's the biggest key here. And the last few weeks, we've actually seen Stephon Diggs really kind of start to get going again, right? For a few weeks, we were like, what is going on with this offense? Why is he not getting involved? He's still getting the same amount of targets, but if it wasn't for Josh Allen completely missing him on a deep shot against the Chargers, and then again a few weeks against the Dolphins as well, there's 2 that he had walk-in touchdowns on, and instead, Josh Allen missed them. I think that this is the opportunity that Diggs will step up and get without Gabe Davis. Now they have to, pass the ball a bit more. I was looking toward Josh Allen originally at plus money, but now that he's gone into the negative, I'm looking towards Stephon Diggs here. The Steelers play man coverage at a high rate. He carves up man coverage. You pointed out that he's actually had more touchdowns against man coverage than not.
That's right.
And no TJ Watt, so probably a little bit less pressure for Josh Allen, and that's why I like him finding Diggs and allowing him to get open. So plus 155. I'm going back to Stephon Diggs, and I'm ready, and I'm vulnerable to get hurt again by him.
But that's okay, though. He's old, reliable. Even if he is going to hurt, you know that it's going to be a reliable hurt.
Yes.
So all right. So he's on Stephon Diggs. B-Matt, who do you like in this game?
Yeah, so I played Josh Allen when it first came out at plus 195, but like you guys said, at minus 120, I can't touch that. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go, I got to go with the namesake again then, right? Dalton Kincaid, 80-plus receiving yards in back-to-back games. I also, without Gabe Davis, I think that helps Dalton Kincaid. And also the cold weather game. I mean, they might move it another day, sure, but it's not going to be ideal conditions, and I think that favors the short passing game. So, he had a great start to the season. Dawson Knox came back. He leveled out, but he has shown again to be a favorite target for Josh Allen. I think they're going to need to move the sticks in a game where who knows what kind of weather we're getting. We just know it's cold. So I'm going to go a half unit on Dalton Kincaid at plus 350 for an anytime touchdown.
All right, so 2 Bills touchdown scores. Now, on offense, I was trying to find an edge for this game. I just couldn't get there. So instead, I'm going to go with the defenses and the special teams, and I'm going to take both sides. I'm going to take the Bills' defensive special teams, and then I'm also going to take the Steelers' defensive special teams. Steelers is at 10-1, Bills is at 5-1. Now, part of the reason why I want to take this is kind of an indictment on Josh Allen a little bit, because a lot of turnovers this year, interceptions and fumbles. So the Bills total as a team had 30 turnovers. Josh Allen was responsible for 21 of them. And, the Steelers also top 10 in forced turnovers this year, 27 total. But the Bills also are one of 2 teams, also with the Browns, to be top 5 in both takeaways and giveaways. So there's a lot of volatility with that team. And then, obviously the cold and windy weather. But also, I'm just not really sure how the Steelers are going to score outside of maybe like a Najee Harris, like 1-yard push. Like, I don't see anything from a passing standpoint. So if Mason Rudolph is ever put in a position to throw, it's going to be bad, because the Bills have a 3.3 interception rate per drop back. That's actually ranked 5th in the NFL, and also the 3rd highest sack rate. So they're going to be able to get pressure. We could see a strip sack on Mason Rudolph, or even just a quick pick 6. Also, Nick, you have, I believe, a luck over for this game.
Yep.
I can't think of anything more lucky and just random than a defensive and special teams touchdown. So I'm going to be taking the Steelers defensive special teams touchdown at 10-1 and Bills defensive special teams touchdown at 5-1. I'm going to put a quarter unit on each. Nick, what do you like for this game?
Yeah, well, I'm going to ride with you here, but just on the Steelers side, I love that 10-1. Also, do your due diligence. Make sure you shop around and find 10-1, but also defense and special teams. So
huge point.
Very important point, because sometimes it's just defense, sometimes it's defense special teams. So make sure you're doing your diligence there.
Yeah,
but 10-1 on the Steelers defense and special teams. I'm gonna ride with Gilles on that one. 5-1 for me is a little too short on the Bills, but look, game with probably 15 to 20 mile an hour winds still, gusts even higher as currently forecast for Monday. It's going to be tough, I think, to throw the ball. I do like your look there, B-Matt, of shorter throws, so something like Dalton Kincaid there. But I just don't want to invest in the offenses in this game, in a game where the weather could be absolutely crazy. So I will take defense and special teams, but give me the long shot with the Steelers. I have them projected at plus 620. So 10-1's a long way up there. But, I just can't go down to 5-1 for a defense special teams touchdown. I think that's a little too short for me. But I do hope you hit it, Jill.
Well, at the same time, again, I think it was more I just wanted to cover both sides. Sure. I find a lot of the time what ends up happening is I'll take one side because I feel very passionate. I feel like I have the fair odds, and then I just get completely obliterated because the other side scores, and then I just feel sick afterwards. So I just didn't want that to happen. And for only a quarter unit, if I could take away that feeling, I will do that. Yeah. So let's now move on from Steelers-Bills, because I can't imagine there'll be a lot of scoring in that game anyway. So anytime touchdowns is just not as fun to talk about. So let's actually move to Eagles-Bucks, where the Eagles now 3-point favorites over the Buccaneers with an over-under of 43. And then, of course, you have the tush-push master himself right at the top, Jalen Hurts at minus 125, favored to score, followed by Rachaad White, running back with the Bucks, also at minus 125. And then you have all Mr. Reliable Mike Evans at plus 120, followed by DeAndre Swift at plus 137. And now you're seeing Devontae Smith at plus 187. That's because there's no A.J. Brown in this game, so Devontae will be wide receiver 1 in this game, followed by Dallas Goedert at plus 210. And then you have the mans in the slots for the Bucks. You have K. Dotton at plus 300, followed by Chris Godwin. Nick, you haven't gone first yet. What do you like for a touchdown score for this game?
Well, we got Chalky Charlie. I guess I'm Dart Throw Giffen, because none of my picks are shorter than plus 230 today. Giffen. We're gonna go Trey Palmer.
I love this bet though.
5-1 for an anytime touchdown. So another long shot here. Look, the Eagles defense right now, they're terrible. They're so bad right now.
I want you to say what's on the rundown, what you said about the Eagles defense.
They suck right now. they're bad. They're giving up points to the Arizona Cardinals, the Giants, you name it. They're giving up points to everybody, even bad offenses. And Trey Palmer, he's going to line up in the slot more than half the time, where he should have Avonte Maddox, who is allowing 2.2 yards per route run, an 84% catch rate allowed That's abysmal.
Yeah.
That is terrible.
The Eagles are
Plus,
bad.
when he does line up on the outside, Bradbury, Slay, they're not what they used to be. They're getting older. They have not been as effective this year as they were last year. I mean, you remember last year, they were shutting down everything. You could only throw to the slaughter, the tight end,
Right.
against the Eagles last year. Now you could throw to pretty much anybody. But if you could throw to anybody, why not take a 5-to-1 guy here? So I'm projecting Palmer plus 440 as fair odds.
And even the Eagles' pass rush has kind of regressed as well. I mean, they had like over 80 sacks last year.
Yeah.
Now they're about 45 for the year, regressing. And probably like it's about league average. But then, of course, that secondary is starting to regress as well. And that was really what was able to put them in a position to get pressure on opposing quarterbacks. So, yeah, he's going to be on Trey Palmer. And I'm going to take Chris Godwin. I'm going to take Chris Godwin at plus 300. Now, so Godwin, cover your ears, like he only has 2 touchdowns this year, so it's not like he has this big track record of getting into the end zone. But for me, I'm more about the matchup and just also the volume and connection that he has with Baker Mayfield, because he's got 16 red zone targets this year. Now, Mike Evans is the deep shot king, but both him and Evans, like Evans has 17, he's got 16, so it's not much of a drop off from that standpoint. But 45 targets as well over the last 5 games. Evans only has 33. But this Eagles defense, you alluded to this, Nick, 29th in DVOA versus the pass this year, 31st in DVOA to the short pass, and they've allowed the most touchdowns to the slot and then the second most touchdowns to wide receivers. So for me, if Baker Mayfield could just stay upright for a little bit, he's going to try to push the ball downfield. And again, with Mike Evans, this isn't me saying don't bet Mike Evans. I just don't love it at plus 120, right?
Yeah.
And again,
Can't do that.
if
Exactly.
Chalky Charlie wants to take him, I'm not going to knock it at all. But again, I am going to
Big
pass
trouble.
on Mike Evans, and I'm going to take Chris Godwin at 3-1. You're on Trey Palmer at 5-1. Charlie, do you have a
guys are-
best bet, or are you just vibing?
I'm just vibing, baby. I don't know. I don't understand how you guys are setting yourself up to get hurt by Mike Evans. We've done it.
We've done this.
How many times, Beena? How many
I
times?
know.
in this show?
Hey, I wasn't gonna say it.
It was
I-
like in the gambling
How many
touchdown
times?
manifesto to not bet anybody else but
Literally,
Mike Evans.
Rule, commandment number 1 is don't bet on a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. That's not Mike
Not-
Evans at this point.
Yeah, didn't we have this conversation? Didn't you bet on Godwin immediately after you go? I don't know why.
I'm a
I
slow
bet
learner,
on
man.
any
I'm sorry.
buck
Yeah,
not
dude.
named Mike Evans.
Yeah, this is. Listen. I bet the
Hey,
under
he's a
in this
glutton.
game.
You know what? A glutton for punishment. That's
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, a
I think
glutton
he's
for
scoring
punishment
today. I
is
like
right.
it though.
I love the under in this game, by the way. That's why I'm only going with Trey Palmer.
Yeah, I think that if you want to bet this game for a touchdown perspective, I would look toward a long shot, similar to Trey Palmer. I'm just vibing here. I like the under just because
odds.
we don't know how healthy Baker Mayfield is.
That's
Jalen
the
Hurts'
key.
finger is messed up.
And he hasn't been
and
throwing.
people are not, yeah, he's not going to be able to throw the ball deep. So then at that point, it's like, all right, dump offs. But Tampa Bay, they're top 5-10 against the short pass guarding running backs and limiting explosive plays. So I just don't know how either team's really going to move the football here. So I'm going to sit back and
Here's another
game.
under factor. Referee Carl Cheffers,
Oh,
second
boy.
most
Ref
profitable
stats.
ref to the under.
Refs.
So, just
Bingo
just
card.
putting that out there as
Bingo
well.
card, ref name.
We went from chalky Charlie to cautionary Charlie here very quickly. All right, so that's what we're on right now. BMAT, take us home. Who do you like for a touchdown score in Bucks-Eagles?
Look, this one, I guess, is just more about the vibes, too. I don't have some, 2-paragraph answer as to why Dallas Goedert anytime touchdown is the move in this game. I'm just feeling like it's going to happen, And look, A.J. Brown is out. We have potential rain, some potential wet conditions. So A.J. Brown's out. We're going to see, yes, Devontae Smith will be a wide receiver 1, but I don't know how healthy he is. He was in a walking boot a few weeks back.
true.
So the most familiar target on the team to Jalen Hurts is, by default, Dallas Goedert. And I'm going Dallas Goedert. I got him earlier at plus, I think he's plus 340 when I got him. I think you can get him around plus 250 to 260 now. The A.J. Brown news is what did it. But look, I just think in this game, I just like the fact that he's going to have to throw to a reliable target. Dallas Goedert has shown that he's back from the injury. There's nothing that's keeping him back. And this is going to be a tough game for Philly. I just, for some reason, it's like I had the vision. Dallas Goedert scoring a touchdown. So let's just do a half unit on Dallas Goedert, and we'll move on from there.
I want to see Olamide Zaccheaus get in the end zone. I don't know about you.
That was the buck killer, right?
Yeah.
And he was, the week before AJ was ruled
did it
out, he
last
was around plus 650 to score. Now it's around
Yeah.
plus 350 at best.
Yeah,
so.
now it's not great, but I think he did score last time against Tampa,
And
right?
we
I had him
did,
first
yeah.
touchdown. Yeah,
Yeah,
that
he
was
did.
wild. Because that was when who was inactive? Was that someone was inactive? I don't know. That's a long time ago when the Eagles were actually good at football. So, yeah, I hope Olamide can actually get in the end zone, but who knows?
So we got the luck bowl here, by the way. Number 2 and number 3 team in the luck rankings. Eagles and Buccaneers.
Well, let's
so-
root for some unlucky no scoring.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so if we do get lucky, that means Dallas Goedert would score. That means Trey Palmer would score, or Chris Godwin would score, and he's not banking on luck. He's just banking on vibes. So, all right, now that is Bucks Eagles, and now we're going to talk about the parlay again. Just wanted to remind you that we are doing a Bet365 anytime touchdown boosted parlay with CeeDee Lamb and Amon-Ra St. Brown. That is boosted up to over plus 300. And the touchdown show is presented by Bet365. Bet365 doesn't do ordinary. That's why you get more boosts with them than with anyone else. Every day they power up the odds on hundreds of bets to give you a chance to win more. Bet365 boosts specific markets, your winnings, and even parlays. And they don't stop there. Keep an eye out for their biggest and best odds with the incredible Super Boost. Check out the boost and see why it's never ordinary at Bet365. 21 plus only, or 18 plus in Kentucky and present in Colorado, Iowa, Kentucky, Louisiana, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER in Colorado, Kentucky, Louisiana, New Jersey, Ohio, Virginia, or 1-800-BETS-OFF in Iowa. Terms and conditions and restrictions apply. And don't forget, we've got another event for Wildcard Weekend today, another live edition of the Favorites podcast, all taking place at the Shepherd and Knucklehead in Hoboken, New Jersey. All you gotta do is click the link below in the YouTube description or go to eventbrite.com and search the Favorites to RSVP.
And bet what happens live at both games.
Absolutely.
At the event. So
It's gonna be a great night. So that's all for us. We've got touchdown best bets for each remaining playoff game, and we're gonna see you next week for the divisional round. And with the Action Network Power Hour, we'll have shows covering every game, probably on Saturday and Sunday. So make sure to download the Action Network app to get all of our touchdown bets as soon as we bet them. And I want to thank you again for watching the Touchdown Show presented by Bet365. Bon chance.